562 pages. No, that doesn't matter. Oh my god, it gets better. I haven't even read this part yet. He seemed at ease, like whatever disquiet warring within him had been spent in combat. Oh my god. And then he saw me. He went still, so physically degraded by his craft. I'm in so much pain. Besties, we are attempting a 24-hour readathon, which I haven't done in a while, so obviously that means it's time. I'm truly hoping to channel my feral reader because I have so many books left on my May TBR and it is May 23rd. I'm hoping to get through some chunky ones. We'll see how this goes. I have 4 from my physical TBR. 2 of them I've already started. So like maybe I'm being optimistic, but I feel like this is very doable. I'm only gonna stop the timer to really like sleep or if I'm doing something that's like taking a while. So that's the plan. Let's talk about the book options. We have Paladin's Hope by T. Kingfisher. This one is so short. I feel like it's really doable. It's like 250-ish pages. I love this series. I have been listening to the audiobooks for this series and I don't have the audio for this. I might try to find it somewhere if it's like readily available. But if not, I do think that reading this with my eyeballs won't be too bad. Then we have a book I've already started. We have Heir of Fire. I'm like 25-ish% of the way into this book. I do have the audio for this. We are doing a Throne of Glass read along in my Patreon, Silly Goose Lane, which is always linked down below if you would like to join. So Heir of Fire is our current book that we're on. The first time I read this, I gave it 5 stars. I feel like this time I'm getting much more into the details. So like it's really fun. I love these audiobooks. I think if we lock in an immersive read, this could be really doable, which is crazy because it's kind of a chunky book. But these audiobooks read so fast and it's a reread. So like 562 pages. No, that doesn't matter. I have The Black Tongue Thief by Christopher Buehlman. I'm very excited to read this because completely unrelated, I have been on Medieval Knight book talk and getting recommended books that just give like either medieval maiden energy or like medieval knight energy. Yo, there's clearly like a theme. I'm just obsessed with this aesthetic at the moment. Christopher Buehlman has another novel, and I've never read from this author before. It's called Between Two Fires that I'm really interested in, but I've heard amazing things about The Black Tongue Thief. This book is like an adventure novel. Our main character, our MMC, is like a thief type character, like a thief, assassin, sneaky pants, which I absolutely love. Another theme here. It's basically like the Thieves Guild. If you've played Elder Scrolls, like Skyrim or Oblivion, it's basically the Thieves Guild and they get to go on an adventure. The book that we're gonna start with and focus on is The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. I freaking love Rachel Gillig. I loved the Shepherd King duology. This is the most anticipated release of the whole year. I've read the first chapter and I am so gagged by this writing style. This aesthetic of this book as well is everything I've ever wanted. It's like medieval knight aesthetic. Also, so is this in a very different way, like very different books from each other, but like the aesthetic is like sort of similar, which we love. Also, this one's so small comparatively. So The Night and the Moth is what we're going to be starting with. So Sybil in this one is our main character. She's like a seer. She has visions from 6 unearthly figures known as the Omens. From them, she can predict terrible things before they occur, and the lords and common folk alike travel across Stonewater Kingdom to learn their futures from her dreams. Sybil's fellow diviners begin to vanish one by one, and she has no choice but to seek help in finding them from like a knight, essentially. And I cannot wait. Okay, let's get to reading. Let's get our timer set up, and I'm going to crack open a fresh diet soda. The only thing that would make this better is if I had a frosty glass from the freezer, and that's on me. This is for me because I didn't do that, but diet soda time. I am literally on page 18, but we just need to have words about this book, and I promise I won't update every 5 seconds. Don't be mad at me if I do though. The way that Rachel Gillig does world building through like storytelling, love it so much. My favorite ways that authors world build are this way, like through oral storytelling, or like sometimes books, but I feel like books within a book. Sometimes it works for me, sometimes it doesn't, but like that, or our main character like knows nothing and then we like learn the world building along with the main character. But anyways, in this book we get storytelling, and it's a really dramatic entrance to this book where there's this new king, and the king and his knighthood are coming unannounced to this abbey in order to get, or excuse me, the Asling Cathedral, not an abbey, but it's like sort of like an abbey, the cathedral. And the seers, there's like 6 of them, are watching the king and his knights ride on horseback to the cathedral. It's so, the imagery is just beautiful. Like the abbess, when Sybil is like getting ready to see, they lay in this, first of all, they lay in this pool that is basically like cracked limestone opened up, and it's, the water is described as like viscous and like murky and like dark and whatever, and she changes into these like crazy like silk robes, and they wear what are they called, a shroud. They wear shrouds so you can only see, and it covers their nose as well so you can only see from their mouth down. Just, I can picture this book so well in my head, it's crazy. So anyways, she's getting ready, she's laying in this pool, it's like this whole thing. The king cuts his hand and she drinks his blood. I'm in love. Anyways, the abbess is like telling this very dramatic story of the land, and it really just like setting the scene and the tone of this whole scene for this dream, and I'm so excited for her to get into this dream. The abbess says, "For in the end, we are all supplicants, whether craftsman or king, knight or foundling or diviner, faith is the same. It, like Asling Cathedral, holds up the hamlets. And while we all bear our own creeds, we must never forget it is the omens who truly rule Trom. Omens who scrawl the signs. We are but witnesses to their wonders, pupils of their portents." She raised her hands beckoning. "Ever but visitors to their greatness." "Ever but visitors," I called. "Ever but visitors," the king murmured. "Ever but visitors," the knighthood echoed. It's giving like creepy Catholic church, and I was raised in the Catholic church, and I just think of the priests being like speaking in Latin. Not ominous, but I lack the correct word to describe it. It has like a heaviness to it, and you know that like something crazy is about to happen, and there's stained glass in the cathedral, in like this divining room with this crazy pool that cracked open from the earth in the limestone, and there's gargoyles surrounding her. Also, from page 1, this is not spoilery, there are gargoyles that have sentience to them. There's only one that's able to like verbally speak, and I love them already. I love them. I will shut up now. We're almost a whole 4 hours in. We're at 20 hours and 2 minutes left. I just made it to chapter 13, page 156 in The Night and the Moth. Remember how I said my favorite world building was through like lore and storytelling, but then also us as the reader learning along with the main character? So this has both of those, and I love it. It's also a really interesting mix between, here, I'll hold this up, that's probably better. It's also an interesting mix between fantasy and horror, because there are some like really grotesque things in this book. Like the omens are quite grotesque. When she's like dreaming and having the visions, those are very grotesque. So I know that people get all riled up about the definition of grimdark and what is classified as a grimdark. I would describe this as a grimdark fantasy. It does seem that this is also adult as well, because they're swearing quite a lot, which obviously I don't mind, but I'm wondering what that will mean for like spice. I hope we get spice. If we get spice, I will be over the freaking moon. But then also, I just looked how long this book is. It's 385 pages, and that makes me sad. I thought that this was gonna be like 500. I don't know why, like looking at it, I don't know why I thought this was gonna be longer. So now I'm like, this isn't long enough. And also I started flipping through the back of the book and I realized that I don't know if this is in every single edition, but in the back of the book, there are the omens like artifacts. So there's the coin, the inkwell, like all of them the same way. And there's little gargoyles in the corner here. Oh my gosh, the gargoyles are one of my favorite parts of this whole book. The writing is incredible. If you like a more lyrical writing style, I think you will love this book. It's so good. But there's an interesting balance between like very quotable moments mixed with something really funny right afterwards. The fact that this gargoyle does not get, he like, you know, like common sayings that we say in real life, like I'm right as rain or to beat a dead horse. They interpret sayings like that very literally, which is so freaking funny. And then also they just get the sayings a little off. Instead of saying right as rain, they say I'm right as raindrops, and it's like, you are so close, bestie. It's so funny. But it just brings that like lightness to it. And then also the banter between Rory and Sybil. Also, he still doesn't know her name. I love it. But I think I am going to take a little break from reading this. I desperately need to clean my house. Like, I feel like reading, my mind has been sitting here reading with my eyeballs. My mind has been very all over the place because I have a massive pile of clothes on my dresser. I still have to unpack from being away. Last weekend, I have a ton of dishes in the sink to do. Like, our house is just an absolute wreck. So I'm going to switch to an audiobook. I think I'm going to listen to the Heir of Fire audiobook. I mentioned that I am 25-ish% of the way through. Last night I did listen to one more chapter when I was falling asleep, but I need to stop doing that because usually when I fall asleep, I can listen to, I'll set the sleep timer to like 30 minutes of the audiobook and I will fall asleep like right at that 30 minutes. And then I'll remember what I read lately, which is a great thing. I'm not complaining. I've been falling asleep faster than I usually do. That never happens to me. It always takes me like usually over an hour to fall asleep. Like, it's just crazy. But lately I've been falling asleep fast. But that means when I'm listening to Heir of Fire, I constantly have to keep going back and I'm like, where did I fall asleep? Like, what do I remember listening to? So anyways, I listened to one more chapter. We're 28% of the way through this book. This is the third book in the series, so no spoilers. I will give like very general broad thoughts. I apologize if all of the updates for this 24-hour readathon are brought to you from my bed. It has just been the most comfortable place to read and rot and just have like one of those weekends. We are now over the halfway point in Heir of Fire. I wasn't planning to listen to this much of this book, but we cleaned, we vacuumed, did dishes, did laundry, watered all the plants, cleaned the countertops, edited a video, and I was able to listen to a little bit of this while editing because it was like partly a bullet journal video, so that footage I'm not like, I don't have to listen to myself talking or whatever. I can just like edit basically B-roll. So we got a good amount read, and then when I sat down I was like, let me just get to like a good stopping point for this book before we switch back to The Night and the Moth, because I would like to focus on this for the rest of the night, question mark. Don't hold me to that. I just love where this story goes in particular. I love Abraxos. Like, reading about him and his story is I love it so much. I love that he's a wyvern that just loves flowers. Like, Madonna's trying to feed him raw meat and he's just like rolling in the flowers, like loving life, and she's like, okay, I will go get you a live goat, and she just like goes off and he's just like smelling the flowers, like being such a cute little dragon. I love him so much. I also really love, this will keep more vague, but if you've read these, you know. There's two characters in here that are just so like dead inside, basically, from like the pain and tragedy and loss that they've had to endure through their whole lives. And I love stories where characters are mirrors of each other, because typically they fight. It's like fire and ice almost. Like they just are complete opposites. They just fight because they're seeing the parts of themselves reflected back to them and they hate it. They don't want to address those parts of themselves. They are avoiding it, but because that other character mirrors them, they're like forced to deal with it. They're forced to deal with the parts of themselves that they're avoiding, and then also like help someone else go through something very similar, which can be so triggering, but it's like, it's so healing. It really enhances the relationship between the characters. Also, when you're going through something like that, it's so much growth. Like you get to see such a massive character arc, not only in those individual characters, but in their like relationship together, which is just so beautiful. It's so beautiful. So I'm having a really, really wonderful time with this. I also really enjoy immersive reading. Earlier we had like a craft together. We call it Bobbins and Blab with my Patreons. And we started talking about Elle May, who is like a spicy novella author. I don't know if all of her books are novellas, but the ones I've bought a couple from her. She has this series called the Stolen Demon Bride series. I think it's a series of novellas. Don't quote me on that because I don't know if they all are. So I bought the first book in that series like last week, I think like a couple days ago maybe, and it looks so good, and I really just want something like spicy and fun and fast. It's only 138 pages. I feel like we could read this really fast, and then for the rest of the night, then we can focus on Night in the Moth and like the books that we're actually supposed to be reading. I just want to go off the script a little bit, and I feel like I should listen to my heart. You know what I mean? It is 10 p.m. I'm getting back to reading The Night in the Moth. When you tell me that there is a knight as the male main character, as the love interest, if you will, in a fantasy romance novel, obviously I'm gonna read it. Like, first of all, no question. But then you give me a scene like this, just hold on to your britches. She just like got out of a meeting with the king. She walks out into the courtyard. It was early afternoon when I returned to the yard, the knell of swordplay drawing me like Asling's beckoning bells, okay? The knights were still training, 2 of them. The quadrant had been dismissed. It was an open square now. Dirt rubbed into my freshly washed feet as I came into the yard. I don't know why it mentioned her feet. Feet mentioned. Standing at the lip of the square to watch the spectacle with everybody else. They were evenly fitted in body and weapon. The 2 sparring knights, each wielding a sword. I couldn't see their faces behind their helmets, but there was something distinct about the taller knight, the way he bent at the knees like he was too lazy to stand to full height, and his shoulders, his back, long and broad. I was growing familiar, even in armor, with the lines of Rory's back. Okay. Then Rory gets like taken down, whatever. Swords abandoned, the 2 of them rolled like elbows, fists into one another, armor screeching in its discontent. I hadn't seen knights fight before, never seen their armor, their weapons as anything but ornaments. I hadn't realized so much of combat happened like this on the ground in the dirt. Oh my god, it gets better. I haven't even read this part yet. I heard the sound of laughter, and then Rory was removing his helmet, black hair catching the light, sticking to the sweat on his brow. He seemed at ease, like whatever disquiet warring within him had been spent in combat. Oh my god. And then he saw me. He went still, mouth half open. There was blood on his bottom lip, some near his left brow as well. The charcoal around his eyes was smeared, staining his sweat black. I'd never seen a knight so filthy, so physically degraded by his craft, and he looked entirely ignoble. Well, we have our work cut out for us today. We have a little less than 11 hours of reading to do, and it is about noon. We're gonna get to it. We have less than 100 pages left of The Night and the Moth, and if it wasn't clear from my absolutely losing my mind check-in from last night, this is one of my top books of the year. Like, I'm so obsessed. I'm so obsessed. I went to Target trying to find, they have like a pink copy of this book that doesn't have sprayed edges. It has deckled edges, which I hate deckled edges. They're very overstimulating. And I hate annotating with deckled edges, but I was like, I don't want to annotate this book because I will not. I refuse to ruin the sword sprayed edges because it's so perfect and beautiful, like everything about it. My Target didn't have it. So I will be rereading this book at some point and annotating the absolute heck out of it, highlighting every single word on the page. I absolutely don't care. Cannot overstate how much I love this book. We also started but haven't finished yet Taken to the Deadlands by Elle May. I don't have long to finish this one. I'm 67% of the way through. I have 32 minutes left in this book, so we will finish it. But I wanted to give a little bit more context for these books. This is a sapphic demon romance, and basically, if you're familiar with Ice Planet Barbarians, it has a very similar setup. We have a couple girls who were taken, like basically kidnapped by this demon to be sold at an auction. Sounds so crazy saying it out loud. It's a dark demon romance, so just FYI. It literally, the series is The Stolen Demon Brides, but basically these girls have been chosen because they have like a certain power about them. Our main character in this one, or our two main characters, Mia is the human, and I think her name is Eris. Yeah, her and the demon's name is Eris, as like our two love interests. Mia was basically lying to everybody and said that she was able to see spirits. She thought it was a lie, but she was like making money in the human world seeing spirits and like telling people that she saw spirits. And then she gets captured by a demon because she has this like special ability. She gets taken into this room. She meets like the other girls that were also captured, and one of them is like a human lie detector. She can tell when other people are lying. And then the other one I think is an empath. So it's like she can sense what you're feeling, I think. I don't know if the lie detector and the empath are the same person or not. I think they're different. So we meet those girls, and then the auction happens. Mia goes with Eris, and it turns out she doesn't have as nefarious intentions for Mia as what she thought. Because demons are known to like eat humans and like drink their blood and like do all this stuff. Eris just wants Mia's help. She has a spirit in her house. She wasn't always a reformed demon. She did used to partake in eating humans, and she gets this like frenzy for human blood. The last human that was living with her, she wanted for companionship, and in like an accident, she like had a frenzy and the human didn't make it. And so she wants to talk to that spirit and like apologize, like make it right and stuff like that, like for closure, and just make sure that, I don't know, the human is okay. And obviously in the meantime, it's a spicy dark romance novella, so like Mia and Eris. The writing style is very straightforward. There's nothing like super crazy about these books, but the premise is really fun. I would definitely continue with the series. I need to do a big reading journal update, updating the current series that I'm in the middle of, because I have so many that I need to add. I also want to make a bullet journal spread for The Night and the Moth. I also need to do a bullet journal spread for Silver Elite. Reading anything after this is just going to be so hard, you know what I mean, when you love something so much. So I think we're gonna finish this. I'm like devastated to say those words out loud. I don't want this to end. It's so good. We're gonna finish this, and then I think I'm gonna switch to the audiobook for Air Fire, and we will bullet journal for a little bit. I did make a Pinterest board for The Night and the Moth aesthetic last night, so I just have to like pull some stuff from that Pinterest board to do a bullet journal spread. I hope that my printer has enough ink.
bookclub reading updates. We finished 2 books and I don't know what to do with myself at this point, so I'm going to be doing some bullet journaling and listening to the audiobook for Air of Fire. But we have, I think, like 7 hours-ish left. My iPad is in the other room, but my timer's still going because I'm about to start an audiobook. I think that this is so hard because I have so many like new favorite books of all time that I've read so far this year, but this I think it's in the running for my favorite book of the year, if not like my favorite book of the year. I need to also, let me write this down, I need to make like a 5-star reads so far of the year like spread in my bullet journal because there's so many, but this is perfection. I am utterly destroyed. I couldn't give you a coherent review of this book outside of the fact that it is 100 out of 5 stars. I'm obsessed with it. If you like this aesthetic, like this book's aesthetic, gothic, darker fantasy romance, and I don't mean dark fantasy romance as in like the romance is dark, but like the world and the atmosphere, gothic dark, that type, it is just, I'm in so much pain. And I need to know when book 2 is coming out. I looked immediately what this series was planned for, and I was hoping it was going to be a longer series, but Rachel Gillig stays writing duologies, and you know what, I can get behind it, but like I just want so much more from her. Like I just want a really expansive world because I would live in this book. If I had the opportunity, I would live here. I just feel like this world is so incredible. I'm also wondering if this takes place in like the same world as One Dark Window, because they have these like grotesque, like darker themes to them, and I'm just wondering if they're in like separate countries but in the same world, you know what I mean? I would love her to explain the connection, if there is one, between the series. I want 1,000,000 books. I would read 1,000,000 books of literally this and be so happy. I understand that it won't be for everybody, but if you didn't like this book, don't tell me. I'm sorry for you. I'm sorry that you didn't have a good experience with it. This is perfection to me. You can't tell me otherwise. I don't care if some of the battles were a little bit convenient, and like I don't care that our main group of characters is a little bit OP. I don't care. 5 stars, 6 stars, 10 stars. I loved it. And then we also finished Taken to the Deadlands by Elle May. It was good. I would say probably like a 3-star. I definitely want to read more from Elle May. I would continue with the Stolen Demon Bride series. I know she has another one that's a vampire series. I really just couldn't think of the word series for like the longest amount of time. I'd be interested to read that. These, I believe, are all sapphic. I don't know if that's 100% because I know that she does write some books where the love interests can be, they can be like non-binary or like change gender. So I don't know if these are all sapphic. This one was. I'm pretty sure book 2 in the Stolen Bride series is sapphic as well, but gender is a little bit fluid in these books at times. So I am going to journal. I have a couple spreads that I need to do. I'm gonna make a 24-hour readathon spread as well for like this weekend too, because I just am in the bullet journal mood. I just need to get out my feelings because I'm so overwhelmed. I might include like a little bit of footage in this vlog, but I actually think I'm gonna do a full like little bullet journal with me video. I'm just trying to figure out my lighting because this is really not ideal, so I'm gonna figure out my lighting. I haven't done a lot of just like sit down bullet journal with me videos in quite a while because I've been a lot more lax about my reading journal, and I kind of just do it when the mood strikes, whereas before I did it a bit more like regimentedly. Once or twice a month I would have like a big sit down where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna like work on my bullet journal, and now it's more just like when the mood arises. So besties. We just went on a little walk with JMO, like a 20-minute walk, and we have about an hour and a half left in our challenge. I could have stayed up, well, to be fair, I stayed up way too late last night anyways, but I could have started our next book last night and like technically finished our challenge last night, so this would have taken me like 2 days. But I was like, it's only 2 hours. It was like 2 hours and 10 minutes when we started this morning left of our timed 24-hour challenge. And I was like, I'm just gonna wait until the morning, and that way I can like wake up, have breakfast, and just like listen to a new audiobook. I don't know, the fresh start of a new day and the fresh start of a new book sounded really appealing at like 11:30 at night when we finished Air of Fire. Oh, let me grab Air of Fire so we can talk about like final thoughts for that too. Okay. Air of Fire, final thoughts. I gave this 5 stars the first time I read it. I gave it 5 stars the second time I read it. The way that this ends is just so good. It's so tense, and it really sets up Queen of Shadows so well. Like, this is the book where I'm like in it. I love what we're getting of the like witches. At first, I think that the main like romance that happens in this book, it felt like it moved very fast, but then at the same time I'm like, no, it didn't. Like, where they ended, I don't know, this time around it just hit different, which is weird because the first time I read this I also gave it 5 stars. So it's like, I don't know, I was much more into like all of the little details, which I know I've said like multiple times at this point, but I was just much more invested in this story, and not just like the overarching story, but everything. Also, when I was reading this, I did not annotate this book. Not at all the first time I read it. And yet I flipped to, I was finishing chapter 38, and look what I pasted in here. Like, it's so accurate and I love it, but I was like, why did I do that? And I didn't do like any other annotations in this book. I don't understand. So finish this. It's left me very, very excited to start Queen of Shadows, which is good because this book is pretty chunky, but Queen of Shadows is like very chunky, and then the books just get like longer from there. So it's good that we left off on a high note. And then I was debating between these two, like we talked about. I did find out that this book, I have to check if it's the whole series, but if you have Audible, you don't have to use a credit. This book is just like available to listen to on Audible, which I need to do a better job of like checking that. I always just assume that Audible doesn't have a great catalog outside of the things you have to like use a credit for. But I will be listening to this very soon, which is super exciting. But anyways, we chose The Black Tongue Thief by Christopher Buehlman. This, if you play D&D, or if you play Oblivion or Skyrim, this is like a Thieves Guild quest line, basically. We have like a rogue thief who owes a debt to his like thieving guild that trained him with all of the skills he now has, and he's been like making payments on his student loan basically, but it's not enough. And so he gets this threatening letter from the Thieves Guild saying, you're not paying enough, also you're not worth your weight in this investment that we've invested in you. Also, like, with how you're paying, you're planned to pay off your student loan in like 16 years, and we don't even think you're gonna live that long. So like, you need to start paying us more, or you're going to be considered like in bad faith, in bad standing with the Thieves Guild, and then we're gonna come after you. His name is Kinch, our main character. He is so funny. Also, this audiobook is narrated by the author, Christopher Buehlman, and at first I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. I've listened to a couple other audiobooks recently, like in like April, where the author narrated, and like one of them really hit, the other one really did not. So I started listening to this. He is speaking in an Irish accent, like perfect Irish accent from someone who's not Irish, but like it sounds very authentic to me. And I was like, wait, what is, and then I Googled, is Christopher Buehlman Irish? No, this man is from Florida. So like, what's happening here? I need to know his lore. I need to know why he's like so good at an Irish accent, because Kinch has the Irish accent, and then the other characters, he speaks more in just like a normal, I guess like American-ish or like some British accents. So like, he's crushing it with this. It's so fun. It's definitely a more like rough around the edges writing style, because they talk about farts, they talk about, it's like,
it's like a men's guild, although there are some like archer women that are spoken about, but they're all very like, they're not polished. But I am having the most wonderful time with this. The audiobook is amazing. This immersive read is going to be so much fun. Obviously we won't finish it in this vlog because I only have like an hour and 20 minutes left, but we are currently on chapter 7, page 48, and these first 6 chapters have just flown by. There's a part that I wanted to read to you. I feel like this encompasses these characters quite well and like the thieviness of what's going on. My name is Kinch, or Kinsna Shinnok. I don't know if I'm saying any of that right. I don't speak in an Irish accent. Or fucking Kinch if you prefer. It wouldn't be the first time I'd heard it, I said. She grunted. I sat cross-legged on the sill, looking at the spanth with my big, lady-killing green eyes. Eyes light like western jade, I'd been told. Shall we journey together? She considered me. What will you do for me? It's what we will do for each other. So tell me. I'll watch while you sleep, sleep while you watch. I'll lie to you when it doesn't matter, but I'll also lie for you when it does. I feel like I should be reading this in a British accent. It would sound so much better. If you'd like me to do the talking, I'll make sure you miss the pennycock with the pizzle itch and get the best wine in the merchant's barrel. You'll never again meet a door you can't get through, nor a wall you can't get eyes over. I need your arms, yes, but you need my nose. If you do the worst of the fighting, I'll make sure you know where your foes are coming from and cull the weak ones. I won't be your dog, but if you're half the wolf I think you are, you found a fox to run with. That is just such a good start to this book. Like, that is, what a way to describe a partnership. I forgot to mention as well, Christopher Buehlman, I'm assuming it's him that's singing these songs because he's the only narrator listed. He's singing the like tavern songs, or like sometimes it's a song related to a god, because right now he's explaining who different people worship in this kingdom, and he's singing these songs. I won't play the whole thing obviously, but like, listen to him. It's so, it just makes me want to play Oblivion.
Was hard to say. She cleaved the catling's tail in twain. So bully rowed and ran away. Row, row, bully boy, row.
He like really committed to all of this, and I'm obsessed. Completed our 24-hour timed readathon challenge. These challenges always just like kick my butt. I feel like my sleep schedule is ruined. However, the books that we read were iconic. We had 2 5-star reads. We made it to 85 pages, chapter 12 in The Black Tongue Thief. I'm still like super duper enjoying this. I did right at the end like sort of stop listening to the audiobook while I was working because it starts to get very like world buildy, and this is like, I'm gonna say a standalone. I know that there's a prequel to this book. Besides that, I don't know if this is a planned continuation, but I feel like I heard that this was like kind of a standalone outside of that prequel. So it makes sense that we're getting a ton of world building just like dumped on us right in the very beginning, because it is a fantastical world. There is some magic in here. The map is very expansive. Like, this is a huge world, and so I wonder if his other books take place in the same world. That would make sense to me, because then like I can't imagine that we're going to go all of these places in one book. So it's like, why make the world this big if you're not like doing more with it? You know what I mean? He did his own calendar setup for like days of the week, and they have 36 days in a month where we have like 30 to 31. He made like days of the week, like names of the week. I don't mean to make it sound intimidating. It's definitely not. But for me, when I'm listening to an audiobook and trying to like do something else, because I started working and just like doing like tedious tasks of just like updating and reporting and data entry and stuff like that. So it's not stuff that I have to think super hard about, but when you're in the world building of a book, that's when I find I personally have to like really pay attention. And so I think I'm going to immersive read a little bit more of this before I switch right back to like just solely listening to the audiobook, if that makes sense. So like still super duper enjoying this. I'm excited to immersive read it and just like sit down, cozy up, and jump back into this, but I fear I do have to do that after work today. The songs, there's so many songs in here. I'm really excited to continue reading that. But all together, I just added up our pages. I did account for the fact that we were already like 28% into Heir of Fire, so I did like subtract some of those pages, but we read just over 1,000 pages in 24 hours. We read 1,038 pages. If you've made it this far, please leave, I don't know, what can we do? Please leave a yellow heart for Black Tongue Thief, because we're currently in the middle of this. Leave a little yellow heart if you'd like to let me know that you are here. What was your favorite book that you read of May? Also, if you are participating in Escape the Readathon, this will go up right at the end of May. How did you and your team do? I'm so curious to see like who is escaping from this readathon. Thank you so much for watching. I will catch you in the comments and I will see you in my next one very soon. Toodles!